What I did want to spend a couple minutes are talking about what are some of the goals that need to come out of this. One of the goals clearly needs to be to address the short-term cash crisis for the city. The second one needs to be to address the long-term liability issue. The third issue is we need to have a system to structurally manage and balance our budgets for the city of Detroit. Those are all financial ones. But again, just as I started, we shouldn't just be talking about numbers here. We're talking about 700,000 people. And this isn't simply about balancing a set of books. This needs to be fundamentally about improved services to citizens, to real people. Because if you step back and look at it, the citizens of Detroit deserve better police protection. There's too much crime in the city. They deserve better fire protection, EMS, transit, trash, streetlights. The list goes on. And so the context of doing all this, we always need to remember that the numbers are a guide and a report on what resources we have available, but ultimately it needs to translate back into real people. And so that's where I wanted to bring this chart back again. Because I talked about some of the goals from a financial point of view, but also from services. But there needs to be an overriding strategic goal. An overriding strategic goal for the city of Detroit is back to this. We need to grow the city of Detroit. That's the long-term answer here. And it's going to be really hard. So I have one more chart I'm going to share with you to let you know it's not like we're starting at even. We're starting at a disadvantage. And let me share that with you. And I want to thank Data Driven Detroit for these last two on population. Here's one they shared with me sometime last year. And this has a lot more, so I'll summarize it because you can see the trend. Basically, this is by age group, the change in population between the year 2000 and 2010. The average was 25%. That was the drop in population from 2000 to 2010. But this breaks it down by age groups. And you can see what this chart looks like. This is youngest to oldest. The young people, age 0 to 4, 34% decline, 5 to 9, 47% decline, 10 to 14, 36% decline. And if you think about it, we may have gone down at 25%, but if you're losing these age groups at that rate, there's a risk of having the decline grow even larger as a percentage because we're losing the young people. So I want to make sure people understand how difficult this is going to be. The point I would make to you is it's solvable in my view. But one of the key things that I ask everyone to think about and how I started is the solution to this problem is not going to be by people fighting with one another or blaming one another. This has to be a case where, you know my phrase, this has to be an exercise in relentless positive action. Because ask yourself the question, who's going to want to stay in the city of Detroit? Who's going to want to move to Detroit if all they hear are fighting and blame? Where if there's people coming together to work together to solve problems together, because it's about solutions and not who gets credit, that's when people can say, I want to stay in Detroit, I want to move to Detroit. And that's, again, one of the reasons why I'm not just here to tell people answers today, but let's have a discussion about the facts and where we're at and what we need to do. So with that, that would be my hope. What I'll just close with before I open it up for questions is to let you know I do have a responsibility to make a determination. That will most likely be at least another week. And again, we'll give you notice as to how we're doing this in a very open fashion. But again, I want to set expectations because the real process is to the degree you have questions on that, I'm happy to walk through it. But I need to make a determination, and based on that, then there's a 10-day appeal process potentially. And then there's a confirmation of whatever decision I make. So this is a process that still could take, several weeks to get through before there's a firm conclusion. So those are the facts.